Mm, so tired this morning. Trying to figure out what I want to do with this lavalier microphone. Could do the old. I can do that. Been live for all of, what is it, 20 seconds. Not expecting anyone to join me right now. It's one person who just joined us for the Saturday morning. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to figure out what to do with the sound. I don't even know. So brain dead right now. Sorry, guys. So, what should I do with this? Let me see. I can put it right there. What should I do with this mic? I'm going to sit there and clip it onto my lip. Is this good placement? Can you hear me all right? Oh, no. I got to think of something to do with it. I'm exhausted. I was up really late last night at work. We were on set. We had a late night. So, I'm really, really tired today. People logged off already. Say I have no interest in hearing sound speeds right now. Well, how is it going? I am really, really tired this morning. Make my steering wheel work right for me. Really tired. I had a late night last night on set. We were doing stunt sequences and stuff like that. All good, all fun. It just was very, very exhausting, very, very tiring. There's not a whole lot for sound people to do during a lot of stunt sequences. So it's basically me with a boom. I was actually paying attention to set, but I was also right there answering technical questions for people and trying to make a deal for something I'll probably showcase at some point in the future. Ah, geez, back is so stiff. Yeah. Oh, geez. What is going on with this thing? Yeah, well, it happens. It happens. We work long hours in the movie industry, and we're I guess you could say we're paid well, but it still takes a toll. I'm sorry. I'm going to be adjusting this on the fly during our conversation here. And I decided I might live stream this morning just to see if I could at least stay awake through perhaps answering questions or interacting. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm just out and about this morning, my daughter is in a meeting behind me, so I have an hour and a half, and I'm trying to think about what to do during that hour and a half. So I figured I would maybe answer some questions or interact. Something to do. What's my favorite medication for back pain? Jeez. I'm not a big medication guy, to be completely honest. What is wrong with this thing? Stay up. Stay on top. Stay on top of the steering wheel. May have to do something else with it. Sorry about this. I'm not really a huge medicine guy. I don't really take a lot of medicines. Actually, it's one of the things that I have coming up. I could mount it there. Sorry, I'm making all of these adjustments here on the fly. We'll figure this out. Sorry about this. Camera's going all to random. I'm going to answer your question, though, while I am trying to make this adjustment. Sorry, this is so crazy. To answer your question, though, what medicines do I like to take for back pain? Well, I'm not a huge medicine person. I don't really take medicines a whole lot. Really, what I do, rotate device. Well, there's my car. This is the worst thing ever. I'm so sorry. Hold on one second. Let me mount this thing up here and then hopefully I'll be able to make it look. There we are. Oh no, don't rotate it that way. We're not going to do a vertical video. This is like totally not your SoundSpeeds quality. Sorry about that. Jeez. You know, I should reverse that. Okay, we'll reverse this. I'm going to unscrew this. I'll answer your question here in a second. Sorry, Nick. I'm going to rotate the device. Again. I think that will be better. At least it won't be going with my steering wheel. Thank you for the compliment about the car. I love this car. All right, we're getting there. As long as my audio holds up. All right. I know that I have background noise going on right now. It's because of the, yeah, that's kind of cool. The visor is holding it up. I could almost take a drive someplace. I could take a drive. Go get some wake-up juice. Except that this is kind of low in the frame. I don't know. Police might not appreciate that. Neither would the people of this town. All right, one more time. Sorry. All right. So let's answer your question. What do I take for back pain? A lot of the time I don't have back pain. I usually, if anything, this shoulder will bother me. About 7 or 8 years ago, I was on a show and I had this really awkward, we had a shot, it was at a car wash. Two people were talking and they started looking at the car wash. They followed this car coming out of the car wash over to the people talking. And they decided for whatever reason that the camera, the tints over the cameras, the dolly track, all that stuff was not an issue with seeing it in the reflection of this black car that came out of the car wash. But the boom was an issue. They said, oh, we see that. I'm like, don't you see the big lighting apparatus and you going in front of your dolly track and all that kind of stuff? Well, we still need to have it there for the shot. So you can move and then come in after we do our move. So I was the only guy that had to move. Well, anyway, so I started with the pole all the way extended. It was 22 feet. I started with it low and way back. And then what I did is I walked in right as soon as the vehicle passed. I went up from low up to here, over my head, walked up and over, put my stepped over into position and threw the boom over the people, and they used my boom for the shot. But the annoying part is it was so heavy on my front arm, and just in general it was so punishing on this right shoulder that I ended up hurting my shoulder. And this is about 7 years ago or so. So that is really the only thing I ever run into pain-wise, not really back problems. And that's more of a, just take ibuprofen and anti-inflammatories. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be releasing a video at some point regarding all the different little health things that I have found work for me or for people I know regarding who are boom operators. There are a lot of different things you can do and what should be strong. Believe it or not, it's not arms. You may think that just putting your arms over your head all day, you may think that's what makes you you're going to have strong arms, but believe it or not, it's not. I'll tell you a fun story. And yes, Ian, I totally get it. Are you still here, Ian? Or did you just say the message and then leave? Somebody just left. But good to see you, Ian. It's been a while. What was I going to say? I was in the middle of saying something. Sorry, I'm so brain dead. Yeah, you're. Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Scoliosis would do it. Um, but you see, I've actually been blessed. I don't have a whole lot of health issues. Knock on wood. Where's some wood? I need to knock on some real quick. That's not wood. Someone knock on some wood for me. I don't want to have to get out of the car and go knock on a tree. Uh, but still keeping going. I'm not big into caffeine, so I don't drink a whole lot of caffeine. But on set, you live by that. I mean, we had 13 hours a lot this week, 13-hour days, and that does take a toll on you, especially when on Friday you come in at 2 p.m., and I was there until about 3:30 in the morning. And luckily, on this show, it's a Warner Brothers show, luckily, it happens to have a rule that Warner Brothers has a rule against working people for more than 13 hours. They don't want to pay it. They don't want it to happen. So they're very good to us in that sense that they do not allow you to have to go past 13 hours. So we have to wrap within 13. But still, you do multiple 13-hour days in a week, and it gets really tiring. To give you an idea, by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of 13-hour days, we've already worked a 40-hour work shift, which is what most mere mortals do as part of their regular work schedules. So we're already in 3 days working as many hours as most people work the rest of the world. Now, that's not including that we still have to take down gear. If we're on location, I may have a pre-call. And I may come in before we actually start. Like yesterday, I didn't come in at 2 and start at 2. I started at 1:42. And if you don't know why 1:42 is the time I started at, watch my video called The Mysterious Film Industry Time Card, I believe it's called, or something like that. Do a search on YouTube, you'll find it. And it's a video made because a lot of people don't understand how time cards work in the film industry. And I did a video to explain it to Sound Utilities because I'm tired of getting my paychecks wrong and having people miswrite my numbers and stuff. So money is important. All right, Alan, if you must sleep. I found touring in different countries very hard with time differences, and taking anything to try to get over it just wears you out ultimately. Yeah, I found the same thing. I do take one thing that helps relax your muscles. Yes, it does. Efficiency drops very drastically. Really, in all honesty, we work 6 hours and we break for lunch, and efficiency in the afternoon is usually worse than it is in the morning. We're go, just flying through everything. Magnesium? No, I don't know about that one. The only magnesium anything I know is magnesium citrate, which you use to get your bowels moving when you need to. But no, I don't. You definitely don't want that happening on set. No, it starts to run a toll on you. And when you go in at like 2 in the afternoon and you're working... Oh, gotcha. Helps with muscle spasm. When you're working that long and that much during the week, and you're very physical. Sometimes you're in the sun, and we're talking 100-degree weather every single day, where you're outside, just in the heat, blasting down at you. Nothing is harder than Walking Dead was. Walking Dead, with regards to exteriors, was really, really rough. It was 100 degrees every single day. You would go out there and you'd start before the sun would come up and load in all your gear, so that you would have right as the sun was just starting to come up, which was like 7 a.m. or something like that in the summer. You would start your day at maybe 6:30, sometimes as early as 6:12, and we would be out there on location 6:30 having, sometimes we have rehearsals in the darkness. And by the time we did rehearsal and got going and stuff, and the sun started coming out, it would start to melt us. We would really start to get hot. And you'd have to keep the water going. You'd have to keep hydrated. But at the same time, there's a lot to trying to find shade when you could. So one of the things I did is I started putting myself in the shade constantly by layering up with SPF 50 material. So that way I was constantly in the shade, even if I was standing out into it. And then we would be out there on Walking Dead. We'd be out there until the sun would set at like 8:30 p.m., 9 p.m. sometimes. And then it was about an hour and 25 minutes one way to my house. So, and amongst all of this in season 8, for whatever crazy reason, I decided to start Sound Speed. So I have an hour and 25-minute commute one way, which usually it was more driving home because it'd be some traffic accident from somebody left over from traffic. And so we're talking about a good 3 hours on the road. I would start work at about 6:12 a.m., sometimes earlier, sometimes a little later. And we wouldn't wrap until about 8:39 p.m. when the sun would go down so much because, you know, you could no longer expose film anymore. Then you have to get out of that location. So pack up all the gear onto a stake bed, move it and put it in the trailer, and then go to storage or something like that. So we commonly would work 15-hour days, if not longer, on Walking Dead. And yes, it turned you into The Walking Dead. The swag, the jacket that they gave people on season 1, which I didn't get, had a picture of Rick Grimes on the back, kind of a cartoon black and white kind of drawing type thing, where he's like yelling like that, and it says, "We are the Working Dead," because the hours you work are crazy. So let me answer a couple of these things that have popped in. I also work very hard at shutting my eyes and relaxing my face completely to work down. You can then take a nap within minutes. Yeah, you're right. I don't have a problem going to sleep at all. I can quite literally, if I wanted to, I could just lean my head right here and I could be out in 2 minutes. I am naturally blessed with the ability to fall asleep. That does not come in handy when I'm driving home after these long days. Like last night, when we wrapped at 3:30 in the morning, I went back to my car and I knew I would not make it home on my 40-minute drive if I were to drive home at that point. So at that point, I did what I typically do. I lean my car seat back, I take my phone, I set a timer on it, and I stick that in the little, you can almost see it here, but it's this, in the back seat, it's the handle in the door. I stick it right there, and then I lean my seat back, I grab this pillow, which is right underneath the passenger side seat, and I throw it back there underneath my head, and I doze off. I also I'll leave the air conditioning on if I want to, if it's overly hot, or if it's overly cold, I'll do that. And I have this very, very light right underneath the pillow. I don't want to pull it out now, but it's a bed sheet, and I throw that over me to block the sun. And I have this way that I'll wrap it around my head, and I'll pull it around here so that, and then right over here, so that way I can always breathe in through my nose. And then I'm notorious for being the person that goes to sleep. Last year, the movie that recently was in theaters, I think like a few months ago, called Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase. I did that movie last year. Boom, that one. And in that movie, the script supervisor was really funny because she saw me sleeping in crew parking one morning. And so she approached my sound mixer, Michael Wynn, and said, "Is Alan homeless? We should maybe do something for him." She was going to like take up a collection or something to see if I could, get a place to stay if I needed a down payment or something. It's like, no, I've been doing this for a long time. I have a house, I have, a family and everything. It's just, I'm so tired that normally what I would prefer to do is I would rather drive in early in the morning and then sleep in my car for an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever, sometimes even more. Sometimes it's like 3 hours, depending on the traffic. And I'd rather do that and sleep in my car than, only endure a 40-minute commute rather than leave in rush hour traffic and have a 2-hour commute where I'm sitting there with the sun in my face, blasting me in the face, and then I get to work, and then I go to catering, eat something, and then I'm totally bored out of my mind or whatever. I would rather drive in and have my morning nap, which is also funny because I'll wake up, I'll go into set and I'll be all brain dead, one eye stuck closed and one eye open, and I'll be trying to focus, and people are like, "Man, you look like you just woke up." I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I just woke up." And that's when the rapport you develop with people on set really comes in handy, because I'll sometimes be in a grumpy mood when I first get up there. I'm just like, world, get out of my way. And people are funny. They'll say, "Hey, good morning, Alan." I'm like, Yeah, hey, what's up, dude? Morning. Kind of like I am now. Mr. Red, thank you so much for coming to watch this stream. If you're just joining, there's 7 people in here right now. If you're just joining, I'm extremely tired. Worked until 3:30 in the morning last night. By the time I got out of there, took a brief nap because I was too tired to drive home safely. Got home. By the time I got in bed, it was 6 a.m. And I had to get up at 9:45 in order to take my daughter to a meeting that she's in there for right now. So I am here with you guys trying to stay awake. And I don't think this wants to turn into a sleeping stream. Question, whenever you want to address it, how often do you run into issues with impedance? I just have been working on an installed sound system and I want to wring the neck of an engineer that deserved it. The impedance doesn't match with anything. I'll be honest with you. Impedance is normally not an issue on sound, on professional sound gear. As long as you have a recorder that has it's got high enough impedance, and your microphones, what is it? They recommend it's like 10 times as long as your recorder has like 10 times the impedance of your microphone, it should be fine. We don't really deal with long cable runs. Mixer I'm with right now is entirely wireless. We're using the audio limited A10 system for the booms, and then we're using Lectrosonics SM, SMAs, and SMQVs and SMV transmitters, and it's working great for us. And that is one of those things where we could easily put those out there. The noise floor and everything is low. The A10 system is practically non-existent. It's brilliant. Love it. And we're able to, get some really good sound. We don't really have to deal with cables, with the exception of inside the sound mixing console and the sound mixing routing and stuff. And those are all really high quality cables. A lot of them are Star Quad. If they're not Star Quad, then they're very short run, and they're something that's going to be very, very good. So yeah. So impedance really doesn't matter as long as it's within within what it needs to for the gear. It's not that big of a huge deal for us. So, I mean, if somebody were to route antenna cable somehow in for our video lines or something really dumb, then it would be an issue. But for the most part, as long as you're using high quality cables and high quality gear, it's not really an issue for us. It's really only an issue if you have lower impedance recorders and interfaces, and you have higher impedance microphones, and you just don't have it really work. Or you're doing very long cable runs. Like if I was doing a 300 or 400 foot cable run, then it might be an issue. But it's not that big of a deal with what we deal with in the film industry. I know how to deal with it. I know the formulas and stuff like that, but we never have to deal with it. Yes, I am extremely tired, David. I am. It was late night last night on set, and then up early this morning because I have to be out and about with daughters playing daddy. So there's my life. Impedance of certain piece of gear only. I'm glad you don't have to deal with it. It is a massive headache. You're right. Eldest bro, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming out. Anybody else have any questions or anything to say? I decided I would live stream this morning, as opposed to just running around the corner to the Dairy Queen and getting the biggest, largest brownie extreme blizzard I could get and chowing down. That would get me awake and make me very happy. But I'm not doing that. Instead, I'm sitting here trying to stay awake while focused on answering sound questions. Sorry the air conditioning is on this morning. I am... I'm sitting here right now, and it is, I have the, this visor, not visor, what is this thing? One of those things that blocks the sun from whoever, from blasting in front of me. And I have the air on, and just trying to have some fun here. Trying to stay awake. What does it say? What did you say? That is too much for me. Georgia mud fudge with extra brownies. Get it now, Alan. Mr. Red, you think I should go and get one of these. You think I should really go and get that that Blizzard right now? I'm so tired right now, my willpower is shot. I mean, there's a Chick-fil-A right there. There's usually a bit of a line in it, but I could go through the line and get a milkshake from there. Bag of donuts. There is a Dunkin' Donuts about a quarter of a mile that way. Personally, I prefer Krispy Kreme to Dunkin'. But 5-hour energies I avoid. I normally do not require caffeine. Last night was a very rare exception. It was just extremely tired last night. And I think it was around 2:30 in the morning. I said I have another hour's worth of work I got to do, and I'm not gonna be able to stay awake. So I did end up resorting to drinking a can of Coke, and also they came out with Krispy Kremes, and I did have some of the, the new glazed ones that they have that actually have the cream filling on the inside. I looked at them and I said, yes, I need that right now. It didn't help. It did not help me stay awake. The Coke did a little bit, like it's supposed to, and that was that. As for now, though, I'm trying to just stay awake. But no, I don't usually get into the 5-hour energy drinks, mainly because it's not something you really want to go get into. I think it's got a lot of unnatural, just things that are just not good for you. Now, I'll tell you what I do resort to. Down here someplace is my good old trusty Zip-Fizz. I love this stuff. This here to me is one of nectar of the gods, I guess you could say. It is just, to me, it's really awesome. It gives you, it's got a whole bunch of things. It says 0 sugar, B12 energy, hydration, multivitamin. You know how it is. You're supposed to, every 3 bottles of water, you're supposed to have a Gatorade or a Powerade if you're in a place where you need to stay hydrated. Well, Zip-Fizz is great. It's got less than 2 grams of carbs in it, only 20 calories if you're a calorie counting person. It's got 833 milligrams of vitamin C, or 833%, 500 milligrams vitamin C. What else? B12, 41,667% of your daily need for B12. And Zip-Fizz is just wonderful. To me, what I will do... Oh, this one expired. How long has this one been in my car? Probably since Walking Dead. Well, if it's expired, I should have it now. I don't have any water. Normally, you're supposed to put Zip-Fizz or Emergency or something like that into water and drink it. I don't normally do that. My startled me there. I'm so tired. I'm jerking at things I shouldn't be. The visor just came down, the one that's blocking the sun. So, caught me by surprise. Let me see if I can get that to stay back up there. Let me see what somebody said something here a second ago. Yeah, sorry, Ian. Yes, I am using the V-Lav. It's not my favorite lav, but I will tell you, my favorite lav is the DPA 6060. That thing is just absolutely brilliant to me. Low noise floor, core technology. The thing is 3 millimeters. Actually, it's 4 millimeters when you put the regular assembly on it. 4 millimeters though. Maybe it's 3. Can't think right now. But it's so small, you can hide it. It's rugged. It's got a lower noise floor than any other lav. It is just absolutely brilliant. I love that thing. That is my favorite lav. Now, for doing stuff for sound speeds, real quick and easy, the V-Lav is what I'm using right now. I am currently wearing it where you can't see, right here on my neck. Just below my neck, actually. Trying to wash out the sound of the air conditioning in the car, which I am sorry about the air conditioning being on, but I really don't want to die due to heat stroke. And without water and stuff like that, that would happen here. Chicken sandwich, yes, I should go get it. A diabetic glucose tablet for emergency use to raise your sugar levels. I have orange tablets in the van for emergency use, and sometimes it's just sugar that needs to boost. Yeah, that's the reason why last night I took the, I ate those Krispy Kreme donuts. I didn't actually need the sugar. It didn't help me one bit. I was hoping it would maybe give me a little boost. It didn't. It really, in all honesty, I was thinking about it later, saying to myself, why did I eat this thing? Because now they do have, for replacing electrolytes, they have really good little tablets for that on set. And I could just go to a medic, and if I don't want to have a Gatorade, Powerade, Zip Fizz, emergency, or something of the like, I can very easily just go there and say, hey, can I get some electrolyte replenishing tablets? And they'll say, yeah, sure, no problem, here. And they'll give me those. Sorry, I'm going to be making an adjustment to this camera position because I can see it's starting to get really crooked. But let me see if I can at least find a question or something like that. In your car, jerking with things you shouldn't be. That's the first thing I heard. You came in at a great time then, Aaron. You can catch me saying all kinds of interesting things because I'm not only tired, but I'm tired. What's your least favorite prologue? Ooh. You want me to say something bad about somebody? You want me to talk some dirt? Well, let me see if I can make this adjustment. Let me think about that one for a second. Talking prologues? Just speaking about prologues and what... Sorry about this, guys. My least favorite prologue. Well, there's a lot of lavs that I could name that I like. Eldest, you always have the greatest suggestions. Cover up the sound of the air conditioning by turning on the radio. That's brilliant. I love it. This is when if I wasn't streaming from my phone, I would do some noise suppression or something like that. Least favorite of the prologues. If I had to name one, I would say probably a tram. It's a side address. I mean, even then, trams have good purposes. I mean, trams are, instead of traditional type lavs that look like a small miniature microphone that comes up here, it has the element on top, and you point that towards someone's mouth, even though it's omnidirectional. A tram is side address. It looks like a little square doodad, and it has like what looks like a little metal piece off the front. That's the element, and it faces one direction, coming out side addressing on this piece of plastic, or the other, not plastic, but side addresses off the assembly, the actual microphone itself. And you could do some really cool things with that. On the collar, like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, I could easily take a piece of real thin moleskin, put it directly over the tram, and line it on the inside here. You would probably never see it if I did it. And I could do that with a tram. And as long as you do not cover up the element itself, it should be able to address outwards and pick up my voice just fine. But trams usually are a little on the tinny side to my ear. They usually are a little bit sibilant. And that's the reason why. I mean, they still have a lot of great purposes. Trams are still probably one of the best to use for a BLM, a boundary layer mic, which would be like we used for Stomp the Yard 2, for example, way back like 11 years ago, or whenever it was that we shot it, which you have a whole bunch of people stomping on the ground. And so what we did is you take the tram, and instead of facing it outwards, where the element is facing outwards towards, like if I put it on my chest, I would put it where the element is facing outwards so you can catch my voice. Instead of doing that, a BLM, a boundary layer mic, would be where you have an attachment like this. You turn it so the element is down, and you slide it in so that way it's facing downwards. So that any of the sound that hits it, it actually is picking up and using the pattern to pull off of whatever surface it is facing against. So if I had a boundary layer, here's the wall, and I put a boundary layer microphone against it, it would be like that. Well, the tram points into the ground. So that way you have this, anytime you have a microphone and you point it towards a wall, it's going to naturally diffuse a bit. The sound is not going to be as defined, I guess you could almost say. It's not going to be, because what happens when you point it at a wall, you're playing directly off of that surface. You're getting in a whole bunch of the sounds that come in from every single angle of the room, and it hits that wall, and then it reflects back. And that reflection does cause a little bit of coloration, does cost a little bit in fidelity. Trams, though, with a BLM attachment is such a very good thing for something like stomping. When people are stomping on a wooden surface, which we did for Stomp the R2, where we would put it down there, just hide a little tram on the edge of set, and when they would stomp and hit the ground, it would just reverberate through there and sound really good. So we use that. Which lav is your favorite? Just got it in the stream. Okay, yeah, so I already answered that. How to cover the radio. Names, yeah, let goes that endorsement. You're right, Mr. Red. I have no chance in getting an endorsement from Tram. Actually, Trams are one of the less expensive professional lavs out there. Being that it's side address, and you can, I think it's probably the best at doing BLMs, unless you go into like the Schoeps BLM or the DPA BLM 4060. Those are brilliant. Anything that is a BLM like that, that's designed to be a boundary layer microphone, is designed for you to put down on a surface, and it more has a pattern that reaches upwards from there. It doesn't normally fire downwards like the Tram does. I've got a Rode NT1 on my desk, which is not in my acoustically treated room. Is there any value in isolation shields? Any other quick ideas to reduce the echo? Well, Aaron, let me ask you this real quick. Are you doing just voice, or are you doing video as well? I need to know that before I can answer your question. But if you answer that question for me, I will answer yours. Mine is Rode. They break 3 lavs already. Yeah, I don't touch the Rode lavs. I'm sorry. I mean, I could make the argument that I don't deal with anything that's not pro sound gear, but then on SoundSpeeds I do. I bring a sound perspective of a professional to prosumer, consumer, and some pro gear. I prefer to deal with the pro gear, but I have found that a lot of pros have no interest in going to YouTube for information, because there's a lot of bad information out there. That's one of the things that I am here for. I'm here on YouTube bringing a professional sound perspective to YouTube, which is extremely rare. A lot of the time what happens in the world is you will have people that are either endorsed, or they can be bought, and they'll say, if we pay you a certain amount of money, will you review our product and speak well about it and whatever else. I don't play those games. I will be diplomatic if a product is targeted towards a consumer. I don't accept everything that I'm offered. I intentionally don't do it because I don't want to give support to everybody who is making like cheap knockoff Chinese products. I'm sent on a weekly basis so many requests. Would you like to try our earbuds? Would you like to try our microphone? Would you like to try this? No, I don't. Most of the time I don't. And the few that I've done as more rite of passage, I guess you could say. I've been told kind of, if you want to be taken seriously, you got to review some stuff. And I'm like, well, I've reviewed things. Well, review some stuff that people might actually be able to afford or want to buy. Okay, so I reviewed a few things, like the Tonar, the 2 microphones I reviewed for Tonar. I agreed to do 2 reviews for them. The first one, they sent me a wireless microphone. I tested. Mr. Red, who's in the stream, he actually helped me shoot some of the location segments for that. I shot that, I edited that, got it out there, and they were very pleased. Oh, thank you. And I said, you know what, for $40, multi-channel, Bluetooth, all the features, you could do worse. They make a pretty decent microphone for that. Then they sent me the over-ear headset, and I told them straight up, you do not want me to review this product. And they said, yes, we would like you to. And I said, no, you don't. I said, I'll be honest with you, I would not be very complimentary of it. And they responded, well, we don't have any reviews of it online. We would love for you to review this product. I said, I'm warning you right now, you don't want me to. They wanted me to. That is the reason why, if you watch my review that is called Avoid This Headset, do a search on YouTube for Avoid This Headset Sound Speeds. You're going to hear me blast a microphone. Well, as soon as I sent in the email saying that, okay, your review is done and it's live, here it is, they have not replied to my message. That was the first email they did not reply back to really quickly. They have not sent me any other messages or reached out at all, excuse me, ever since. And I know why. I warned them, they didn't heed the warning, and I guess they thought maybe he would at least say some nice things. Not really. Didn't have much to say about that thing. I hated it. Anyway, I even warned them. Rode that has a Rode link, that is, yeah, but you know what? Rode is, in all honesty, I'll tell you what my experience has been with Rode microphones. The Rode VideoMic Pro, for example, is extremely bass boosted. A lot of people like that. I personally don't. I prefer a more natural sounding microphone. Then there's the new 4G, the 2.4G wireless. Okay, I personally, when I've looked at it, I'm like, okay, so it's small. All right, I've seen people reviewing it and stuff. I'm like, okay, so it's got a good market. You don't need me to add anything to it. Rode is also not going after any of the pro markets that I know of. They're more consumer, prosumer, trying to go after YouTubers, that kind of thing. Now, Deity, the reason why I've latched hold of them pretty well is because they are very, very in tuned. They're marketing products towards professionals and consumers. And even though a lot of professionals won't make a Deity microphone their primary microphone, they still use them. They still do have a purpose. Now, not like the VLAV and the... Now, I do know people that are using the Deity Connect. And I do see those people online using the Deity Connect. Personally, I do like the Deity Connect, but I don't think for me in the world of scripted television and feature films, it's going to have any purpose. I personally think the noise floor is a bit high on that. But I do think it is the best-in-class wireless. It has features that are well innovated. They are just spot on with a lot of their development and R&D. I think it's a great product for what it is. Rode, I personally think that the NT1 and the NT1A, which I'm going to do a review about eventually, and I already know how I'm going to do it. I've thought about it many times. I almost did it for the video that's coming up on Monday. But because I just got through releasing that 45-minute long 10 things with Ken String, which is a fascinating thing, a brilliant thing. I thought I would do a more of a 2-minute video this time, and I already have the topic that I'm going to pick out. It's going to be one that people will not think of unless you're a pro. Even a lot of pros that I teach this trick to, they're like, I never thought of that. That's brilliant. So it's going to be a quick little tip that the whole video will probably be like 2 minutes long. I'll record it tonight when I am tired. Woohoo! Anyway. But Rode, personally, the products that I like the most about theirs is I love the NT1, I love the NT1A. And I have certain loves for them in certain aspects of it. The NTG1 and NTG1A, NTG3, not NTG1A, NTG2, NTG3, NTG4, 4 Plus, whatever it is. Those mics kind of go the way of the VideoMic Pro and get very bassy. And again, I'll say it again, I prefer more natural sounding microphone. I don't care if there's a little more background noise. I would rather hear a little bit more background noise and to have the environment sound natural than to hear my voice all really bassy and deep. Some people associate deep voices and bass with closeness. A lot of the sound mixer I'm working with right now, he loves the way the MKH50 sounds because he says it tickles his ears. When you get it really close, it tickles the ears. I get that. That's the bass boost. That's the proximity effect that happens when you get really close to a microphone. That bass just comes up. But personally, I'm kind of over it. The NT1A and the NT1 are very natural sounding. NT1A, I won't get into it anymore. I'll save that for my video. But I will say that I like the NT1 and NT1A. I think they're very well detailed. And so also Rode doesn't respond to my emails, nor do they take any input. One of the reasons, like I said, that I've latched hold of Deity really well is because they actually listen to my input. As a matter of fact, the product that is launching on the 9th, I think at IEM, IBC, whatever it is. I keep thinking IBC is root beer. But IBC is coming up and they're launching a new product. I'm not going to give you any information about that, but I will tell you this. For months now, I've been going back and forth with Deity, talking about certain things and giving my input. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things I was doing on set last night is I was saying, if you're going to put this on your website, I would brag about this feature because it's awesome. I would mention this. I would put this here or this there, and I would say this. And I asked him some questions about his technical specs. He was like, oh, I'm not sure about. And I'm trying to negotiate to see if there's a test that he will let me perform in a certain way that I think it would be a lot of fun if it works out. But I think he has to get past IBC and actually announce the product first. But I'm not by any means a product developer for the Deity line. I gave him some input and feedback, and he's very receptive to it. As a matter of fact, somebody else in the stream right now, and I have been going back and forth in email quite a bit about the Deity Connect system, and I recommended that he and Deity reach out, and I connected the two of them because I think he has I think he's got some really good input that Deity would appreciate, and I think Deity would really appreciate the interaction with him. So I thought that would be kind of a cool connection right there to make. So let me scroll on down here a little bit here. Yeah, Tram TR50, you're right. I don't remember what the model number was. I haven't dealt with a Tram probably in 10 years. You might want to check out the Sonotrim. Now, Sonotrims I'm familiar with. They are flatter, you're right, and they're very similar to Trams. I do like Sonotrims, but again, I prefer, I guess, more for what I deal with lavs and stuff like that. I prefer to have more of an end address than a side address. It's one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of the DPA Slim, the 4060. It's a fine microphone. I like it. I think I got like I think aside from the guy that's the main salesperson for DPA, I had the second one in America. And I understand the purpose of it. It's basically like if you had the diameter of around, DPA lav like this, and you just chopped off the edges and made it smaller. I understand the purpose. I'm just not a fan of the microphone itself. I prefer more end address. But it sounds fine. It sounds good. I mean, it definitely sounds better than a lot of the other mics out there. Probably every other microphone out there, it sounds better other than the other DPAs that I prefer because they're in address. Same as casing, newer microphone capsule. Yeah, same old thing. Yeah, you're right. Tram is very old design, but it's still pro. Just voice. Okay, so let me answer your question then, Aaron, because I know you've been sitting here for a long time. Sorry about that. So Aaron, if you have a Rode NT1 and you want to make that sound good, spend some money on treatment. Watch my video on how to make a vocal booth within less than $100. Watch my 2 acoustics videos. Actually, I think I have 3 because there's one in the 3BO series also in it, and how I baffled some sound like on Walking Dead and stuff like that. But I think I have one video that's called Acoustics 101. And then I have another video called The One Thing You Need to Know About about sound reduction, about soundproofing, something like that. And both of those videos would give you good insight on what you need to know about the NT1. But the NT1 is, let the truth be known, the NT1 is a condenser microphone. And so in order to make it sound good, you should be in a treated environment. You should treat all the reflections. Now, if you don't want to spend money, you can still grab towels. You can still grab clothes. Throw them on a table next to you. Throw them on any flat surface next to you. Knock a nail into, or if you can't do that because of your apartment or something like that, you can put a push pin in the wall right next to you. If they don't want to use that, get some industrial command hooks and hang some clothes on your wall. But whatever you do, baffle the sound. Baffle it so that way you don't have all those reflections. coming back at you. And if you're just doing voice and you have the isolation shield, what will happen? And I actually did a video about isolation shields and does it reduce. And as a matter of fact, I was a little bit aggressive with the noise generator in retrospect. But I actually released the video anyway because I thought it served a purpose and you could still get the point of what I was trying to do. But isolation shields, personally, they block, like if I was going to use an isolation shield and just for voice, you put your face up here and you're talking into it. And actually it would block up even more. So you're going to have your copy down here while you're speaking this way. It's kind of awkward. I mean, they do work. They isolate from that direction, but keep in mind the pattern of the microphone is facing you. And because it's very thin foam with plastic on the back part of it, it doesn't have an NRC rating of 1.0 or higher. So those shields will, because they're also somewhat concave, it also kind of has a parabolic type sense to it. Not a perfect parabolic, but it still pulls in sound directionally from your mouth and can give you some kind of weird, I don't want to say reverb, but it gives you some weird auditory sensations, depending on the environment you're in. If you're in a dead quiet environment and you have one of those isolation shields, it will work to a certain degree. But it's the same thing as if you were to hang clothes on your wall, maybe 3 or 4 shirts on your wall, and then you were to put your microphone right in front of that and talk into that. It's just as effective, if not more so, because you can look down, it'd be wider. Isolation shields are what, about this big, and your clothes would hang up bigger than that. So, I mean, that's they do work. I'm not a fan. I don't like to have my face jammed in front of a whole bunch of things, though. That's one of the reasons why you don't see me with microphones in front of my face very often on sound speeds, because I don't like doing that. I don't like having a microphone in front of my face. I prefer overhead miking or something like that. SM7B with a Fed head, and I still have echoes creeping in. Are you familiar with the Sealed Air NRC1 product? I'm not familiar with the Sealed Air NRC1 product, but if it is NRC1, that's probably an average of 1. So it means on the lower frequencies, it's probably around a 0.75, maybe 0.8. And then by the time you get to some of the higher frequencies, it's maybe around, 1.2, 1.3, something like that. It usually averages down to an NRC1. I could be mistaken by that. Like I said, it's a product I'm not familiar with. So give me some more information. Aaron looked up Sealed Air foam. Okay, works now. Camera works now, Captain. I'm ready to be your cameraman. You got your camera fixed, Mr. Red. That is so awesome. Sorry, I'm way behind in this video. And my questions. Geez, I'm looking back at stuff from 12 minutes ago. I'm so glad that you got your camera fixed, Mr. Red. I was so disappointed when the lens broke when we were out shooting. I felt really bad about that. And I felt even worse. I was unable to repair it. I spent probably 4 or 5 hours in addition to the parts I bought trying to fix it. Sorry about that. You don't want me to review this. Warning, Tonar doesn't listen. Aaron's review, 100% negative. Aaron's review. You didn't answer who is your likes lav. Oh, okay, I did answer that. DPA, love DPA lavs. DPA, I think, makes the best lavs. Hands down. The 6060 to me is a work of art. It's got core technology, which allows it to have a very low noise floor. It's got 2 sensitivities to it, and they both just pull out better than anything else. You can adapt them to anything. They're rugged. They're small. Watch my review on the DPA 6060. I love that microphone. It is my favorite lav, hands down. I wish more of the mixers that I worked with would actually have them. We used on American Soul Season 1, Don Cornelius used my DPA 6060 for every single scene he had. Now, I'd love to be able to tell you, just listen, you'll hear the brilliance of the 6060 anytime you hear his voice. Sadly, that's not the case. I was the boom operator. So you're going to hear my boom quite often. with exception of when we were on the Soul Train set. So if you look back and watch the show on BET's website, you're going to see a whole bunch of segments that we shot in Soul Train. Now, there's two different things. Number one is the AKG D120E microphone he hand holds up to his mouth. If he's not hand holding it and they're using that because they're doing it as a segment for Soul Train, if he has got the microphone down, then the lav you are hearing is going to be the one that he's wearing, the DPA 6060. We used that one on Don Cornelius and it sounded wonderful. And that's my favorite lav, is the one we used. And then we have podcasts. Welcome very much to the stream, Bandrew. Video with Tim was superb. Really enjoyed that. Tim, you mean Ken? Ken is brilliant. Love Ken. He is such a brilliant guy. And I'll tell you, he didn't used to be very active in social media, or at least he only hit my radar about 2 years ago or so. But I started seeing him answer questions. Now, a lot of people in sound forums, you can tell real quickly if they're skilled, if they're a veteran, or if they're nonsense. He stood out very quickly to me as being someone that knew the game, had great input, great feedback. He was very patient where he needed to. He was very, very educational and mentoring. Ken Strain is amazing at that. And that's one of the reasons why because of his experience level, his past, worked on House MDs, worked on a bunch of great shows. He does a lot of features now, but Ken has now been grabbed at by K-Tech. He loves K-Tech booms. And because K-Tech loves education as well, they have his back. And he did a seminar in LA. And now they have one coming up in London and one in Munich. So one in the UK and one in Germany. So if you have any interest, it's later this month, go see Ken in person, ask him questions, how to be a boom operator. And he is a brilliant man. Ask him some questions. Go check out his Master Boom YouTube channel here. He's going to be releasing about a bunch of great content. Anyway, let's see. Bass voice for the win. Yes, you do have a great bass voice. 2 NTG3s, love them. Yeah. And yeah, I'm not saying that NTG3s are bad microphones, Cuisine. I'm just saying that I'm not a fan of overly bass boosted ones, and it is one. I didn't know that Eldest Bro is sick. I'm sorry to hear that, Eldest. A little on the bassy side. Yeah, bass boost. Okay. IBC is a root beer. It's also a convention, I believe, that's coming up at Amsterdam. S-Mic 2 for the win. I prefer the NTG3 on 416 any day of the week. Cool. Honestly, I've never played with an NTG3. The only NTG Rode microphones I've ever played with actually is the NTG 1 and 2. 2 is only because we tried the 1 and we wanted a little bit more directionally. And that was on a low budget feature we didn't want to use our real microphones on because they weren't paying for it. Yum root beer, too bad my throat is sore. I shouldn't have the acids. Acoustics, thanks for the link there, Mr. Red. Acoustics 101 video. Moving blankets, there's one thing to understand about audio acoustic treatment. Let's see. And then there's one more video, Mr. Red, the one on, oh yeah, geez, you linked that one too. I should scroll through here more often. Holy crap, Aaron, thank you so much for the super chat. I guess that's what that is. I've only ever gotten one other super chat, and that was Bandrew, who's in the stream right now, unless he's left. I don't normally receive donations, so it's one of those things that when I get one, I'm like, wow, that's awesome, thanks. Thanks for answering. I've gotten a lot of information since Finding Soundspeed's cheap dinner is on me. Thank you so much. That will buy, as soon as my daughter comes out of her meeting in there, we will probably go and grab some lunch. And that will definitely come in handy for that. Poor man's vocal booth. Geez, Mr. Red, you are just a searching fiend. Thank you so much for those. Any reason you chose the CAD E100 over the DP4017? Okay, let me address that. I am not a fan of shotgun microphones in any kind of a closed environment. Now, I've been very clear that my booth is a set. It is not an actual booth. Some people will say, "Oh, you hear too many reflections and stuff like that." Yes, I'm sure you do. I'm actually about to make an adjustment to it that I think is going to help quite a bit. But to answer your question, though, why the E100 over the 4017B? I'm not a huge fan of shotgun microphones. I know they reject. I know what they're capable of, and that's fine. I'm not a fan of using shotguns inside of a closed environment, inside of a vocal booth, so to speak. I know that other people swear by the 416 in a vocal booth, and that's fine. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we're back. Okay, I'm back now. Sorry, hopefully you can hear me. So I'm not a huge fan of shotgun microphones being used in a closed environment. The reason you, in my opinion, use a shotgun microphone is because of the rejection. You want to reject out outside noises and pull in your sound from a greater distance. You don't need that in a vocal booth. Yes, they are very detailed. Yes, they are very focused on a mouth. And because they are usually more focused, they don't get as much of that bass coming out from the chest because they're more directed at your mouth. That's one of the reasons why you usually have less bass in them, and they're more crisp and focused on your mouth. I know people really swear by and love shotgun microphones. The 416 has a reputation for a reason, for sounding great, number one, and number two, people love the way it sounds with the detail and pulling out that crispness in the dialogue. Personally, I would prefer to use something that is not a shotgun microphone. Personally, I just don't like them. I prefer, if you're gonna be inside of a vocal booth, I personally don't like the idea of a shotgun microphone. You're very close to your microphone. It's a quiet, controlled environment. You want to hear those sounds. It's one of the reasons why TLM 103, Neumann U87, think, if I were to say to you what is the most common pattern used in a vocal booth, you're going to say cardioid. And then for whatever reason, people use supercardioid shotguns in vocal booths, and I get it. I understand why. Like I said, and I don't know if you heard it because it cut out, the detail is what people really like. And I'm sorry I'm messing with this thing again. The detail is what people really like. A shotgun microphone is very directional. So if I had it pointed right here at my mouth is going to be what it's focused on. It's not going to be as focused on the chest and pulling out the bass from that. And because you're hearing all those mouth noises and crispness and whatever else, which you get from ASMR when someone is trying to whisper in your ear, you hear all those mouth pops and stuff like that. All that is nailing you in the face with a shotgun microphone, pulling out all the sound from right here. It's still pulling out sound from the chest and from the top of the head too, but that's the reason why shotgun microphones are usually very popular, because they're great at pulling out crispness, and they're very, very sharp. Now, personally, I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of lows in my voice. I have plenty of highs. I don't want to have a microphone pulling in on just this little area of my face. The DPA microphones are already not bass boosted. They're very, very flat. It's one of the reasons I love them. So if I were to put a 4017B on me inside of my recording environment, it would just be nailing me in the face right here, and you would hear crispness and whatever else, but it wouldn't sound good. The E100 is very flat. It's got a supercardioid pattern, which I really like. So it's got the reach, because I don't like to have a microphone in front of my face. So I want to have it off a little bit. And it sounds really good to me. I don't want to overly bass boost. I don't want to compensate. For a while on my channel, I used the AKG C4000B. After doing my 5 video series on can you EQ a bad mic to sound good, where I deemed that no, you can't. By the end of it, spoiler alert, in doing that video series, one of the things I did do is I talked about it, and I talked about how I used my E100, and someone recommended that I use the C4000B after that. And for a few months, I did. About the time I was working on Avengers Infinity War, as a matter of fact, I started using it while I was working on that. And then I think I stopped using it about the time I did the movie Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase. So So I think so I was no longer using it by then, because I think I listened to it and I was like, man, this is just too bassy to me. I would rather have a more natural sound. So even though it's not, I mean, granted, there is no way in the world I'm going to ever sound as good as Mike DelGaudio and have that bass and richness in my voice. So I'm never going to sound that good. So you may say, get a microphone that boosts that bass a little bit, but no, I can't do that. If you try to boost the bass too much, I'm going to start to sound muddy. It's just, you hear in my voice, I don't have those lows. And because I don't have those lows, I can't embellish them and fake it. I can't do that through EQ. I can't do that, nor do I want to. If you don't like my voice, sorry, it's the one I'm stuck with. Now, sometimes I do lower it. If I get very animated and excited, it gets louder. But if I calm down a little bit and I'm talking quieter, usually my voice does lower. And that's part of the reason why I did the whole video, which Mr. Red, I'm sure you can link, which is the video on how to yell, how to be heard at a longer distance. When you yell at somebody, the first thing you usually do is what? Hey, I want to be heard, I want you to hear me. And if you do that and you're trying to speak over a loud room, you're going to have your voice wash out. But if you raise your voice, hey, I want you to hear me. Not only is the SPL level raising in your voice, but it's going to cut through all the background noise, which fundamental local frequencies are down here, and those harmonics are below it. So you're going to cut through those a lot better. Rothenium, how you doing, man? I watch your streams. As you know, I pop in there. Sometimes I don't even let you know I'm in there. Sometimes I just watch for a bit, and then I hop back out. But Rothenium, it's great to see you in there today. Thanks, Mr. Red. Problem is my spare mic is in the guest room with my iMac, which my wife says is off limits for hanging acoustic treatment on the wall. You can do temporary things. Aaron, you can do temporary things if you can add some command hooks, for example. Command hooks are great. They don't even leave any residue on the wall. They don't leave anything. You can buy command hooks on Amazon, and or at Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, any of those places. Buy command hooks, hang them on your wall, and then hang up. Just go to your closet, hang up some shirts and stuff, hang them on your closet around you. Booyah, done. It's very, very quick. You just install a command hook. When you're done, pull it off there, put your clothes back in the closet. Your audio is sounding much better, and your wife is much happier with you. Maybe she'll even let you leave the command hooks on there. Do I like Zaxcom products? I'll be honest with you. Yes, I do like Zaxcom products, but do I use them a whole lot? Most of the mixers that I work with use electrosonic stuff. Zaxcom, the reason why is Zaxcom makes a great digital wireless system. It does sound really good, and it is one that you have to invest in. If you want to use ZaxNet, for example, your sound recorder has to use ZaxNet to talk to your transmitters. So you can very easily on the fly, you can have a transmitter 30, 40 feet away, and then you say, oh, the gain's too high. They're now, yelling, and go in on ZaxNet and lower it. Brilliant. And it's still going to sound really good. But in order to do that, though, there's a cost associated with that. Zaxcom recorders, transmitters, and everything is an investment. You cannot, for example, if you use the TRX 642.5, I think it is, whatever their transmitter is. One of the other issues that I have with it is the battery. If you use Ultimate Lithiums in it, it only lasts 3.5 hours if you use something. And if you use those transmitters, you have an antenna off the bottom, and it's not internal, and that transmitter will only last about 3.5 hours, powering something like a Super CMIT 2U. And other things like Electrosonics HMAs or the Audio Limited A10 series, those will usually last an entire morning. They'll usually last between 5 and 6 hours. And so you don't have to change them midway. The Zaxcom transmitter now, I know they have their newer series, and their system sounds great. I love the Zaxcom products. They're just one that a lot of the mixers that I work with don't want to invest into. They don't want to use the whole XCOM system. And because they're already invested in Electrosonics, and then they can easily go over there and dweedle if they need to go up between takes or on resets or something like that, they don't really invest in the XCOM product. Do I like their products? Absolutely. Absolutely. Solid as a rock. The Diva 24 is multi-track recorder, right on par with the Kantar X3. It's a brilliant design also, and it's one that they can upgrade the firmware of, and it will hopefully last a long time. But you know, but do I deal with XCOM and use them a whole lot on a daily basis? Not really, because a lot of the mixers I work with are Electrosonics guys. I have used them, but I don't. So what is the reason for trying to stay awake? Did you get off set late? Rothany, if you're still in here, yes. I was up very, very late. I started work yesterday at 2:00 p.m. and we went until 3:30 in the morning, and I was just dragging. It's been a long week. And I was probably dragging after about 2:30 in the morning. So I got off set, I went to my car, and I knew I would be wobbly behind the wheel and probably would have fallen asleep. So what I did is I leaned my seat back. I took about a 20-minute nap that reset me enough to make the 40-minute drive home. So I did that. But yes, I was up late. And then by the time I got home, all I really did was I went to the restroom and I took a shower and I went to bed. And I didn't get to sleep until almost 6 a.m. by the time I got home. So anyway, got the DPA 4017B and a 4018C. Love that combination. You are right. Let me explain to you INT2 why I love it. Because there is no coloration off axis. DPA simply attenuates. You do have, naturally, bass fall off when you point a microphone that's a super cardioid or a cardioid pattern. It simply does cue off, but it doesn't discolor the sound. It simply lowers it in volume. And because the pattern it just naturally picks up other sounds, you're going to fall off in the highs as soon as you go off axis. The lows are going to stay there more. But to me, what's really awesome about it is some mixers that will say, once we start the scene with the microphone, we're going to stay with that microphone the whole time. That's usually because of coloration. Once you dial in on a particular sound for a scene, sound mixer does not want you to change it up. They don't want you to start on an Sennheiser MKH70 for the high reach, and then as soon as you come in for the medium shots, drop to a Sanken CS3E, and then by the time you're in the tights, go to the go to a Sennheiser MKH50. Or let's just mix it up again. Shep CMC 641. They're going to say, nope, once you pick a microphone, stick with it. The CMC 641 doesn't have the reach of that the Sennheiser MKH70, and the 70 you don't want to use in a close proximity to your actors. So if that's the case, why do I like the DPAs? Because you have the 4017B, which will pull out it will pull out that reach and reach your actors from higher above. And once it does that, and you punch in for the tights, and you can put the microphone right on top of someone's head, you're going to pull out all that detail and richness by switching out the capsule, 4018C capsule. Or 4018C, by making that a, you can even just unscrew the B preamp from the 4017 capsule and put the 4018 on there, and you're going to still have access to your two switches. It's going to sound wonderful. The C preamp is really used for if you need to go into low profile mode. It doesn't have the reach, but that other microphones do, but that's when you use the 4017. If you use the 4017 until you get down to within about 6 inches of someone's head and use the 4018C or 4018 capsule within that, I don't think there's a better combination. I love that. And you're not going to have issues with noise. Some people will tell you that a wide shot needs to sound like a wide shot. So you don't mind hearing some of that room. So you can use a super cardioid pattern. Use the Shep CMC 641. Use the Sennheiser MKH 40 or 50. And go ahead and use that, because if it pulls out the background noise or whatever else over here on the side, we see it, we can hear it. But personally, I prefer to reject out a little bit more of it It's still a very natural sounding microphone. It still pulls in enough for you to not be closed in and feel claustrophobic, or for you to say, that doesn't sound right. It still pulls out the richness of that audio. And then when you punch in and put the microphone on top of someone's head, that 4018 really just pulls it out, and without bass boosting or anything. Podcastage, thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, this is the first time ever that I've had 2 super chats in one video here. That's amazing to me. Stream down super chat. So now we're just now catching up with my poor dying. I'm slowly falling behind. Let me try to catch up here a bit. Alan spilling tea back. Refresh everyone. Some buffering podcastage. I was just watching one of your videos a few hours ago, and you know, podcastage is a great guy. Bandrew, he's a great guy. As a matter of fact, I on Saturday nights I join him in his voice chat. Usually when I'm done watching videos and playing with my daughters and goofing off and whatever else. I love it. His Discord server is a wonderful place to be. Very, very informative. And Bandrew, if you're still here, it's been great to get to know you too. You're a great guy. And I still am serious about what we talked about coming up for podcastage or Bandrew Says Podcast episode number 200. We should probably revisit it now because we're within 20 episodes of episode 200. Also, with a shotgun, you need to be real careful and not moving out of the sweet spot of the scenario. You're right, Rothinium. You have to definitely stay within a certain area now. It's not normally a lot of issues with people inside of a vocal booth or a closed-in environment. You can easily have a microphone just nail you in the face or whatever from pretty close proximity, and you're not going to have an issue with, even if you back it off and you talk, you're going to stay within the pattern. It's going to be fine. Own Ashen Spirit for my vocal booth. Love it. Awesome to have a microphone you like. The CAD is amazing for my voice. Mr. Red, I really like the way that CAD sounds on you too. It's really great at pulling out the high-pitched stuff when you bring in your falsetto and go crazy. At the same time, it's really awesome for pulling out that richness. When you push the proximity effect, it's awesome. Does VO and he loves the 416 for the reasons you said. Delgadio sounds like he's perfectly equalized all the time. Very bizarre. Well, Delgadio, he's also a pro voiceover artist. He knows how to make love to that microphone, as they say. And his voice is naturally just amazing. So, let's see what David's comment was. David said something that was deleted by Mr. Red. Oh, well. So Dave, okay, so I'll have to look at what those deleted messages are. I can't see them in here right now, but if Mr. Red removed it, I'm sure that there's a reason for it. Thanks, Alan. Appreciate it, man. Rothinium. Oh no, Mr. Red. The Scarlett 2i4 is going straight into your computer. The Pyle PTU45 is not going into DBX 286. Your setup is the CAD M179 into the DBX 286 into the Scarlett 2i4 into your computer. The Pyle is just an amplifier used so that way you can hear through the speakers. Yeah, Apple, Zaxcom is very much like Apple and its ecosystem, very closed in. Love the 286 also. MixPre 6 is awesome. I love it also. And SS versus Zaxcom. No, I'm not against Zaxcom at all. If you mean Soundspeeds versus Zaxcom, who is against Zaxcom? They're great. You just have to, like it was set up above, Int 2 said you have to actually kind of invest in their whole ecosystem if you want to play in that. I mean, you can buy the transmitters, you can buy the recorder and just, separate it out. But to get full, use of everything that it has to offer, you need to invest in it. Please be respectful and please feel free to ask any questions or just say hi. Alan loves to reply. Come enjoy the stream. Okay. Since I added the DPX 231S equalizer to my chain, it's been amazing. Good. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to get through this. Now I think I'm almost caught up. Holy crap. Road trip. I got gas money. Hotel and meal are 2 covered. Notice missing my type of spam. That SoundSpeeds. Okay. Hey, SoundSpeeds, big fan. Just got my first MKH50, which is better. The BBG Wind Pro, which looks like a Zeppelin or a baseball. Which is better, the BBG Wind Pro or the base, or which looks like a Zeppelin or the baseball? Okay. As much as I love Rycote products, let me address this. I'm not a fan of the baseball. Personally, I'm not. Matt Price over at Sound Rolling made a video when the baseball first came out. He gently blew into it, and the thing. Then he put a different wind protection on there, and it was fine when he gently blew on it. Took it outside, I was hearing wind noise on it. I have since played with the baseball. The only purpose I have for the baseball is if you do fast queuing. If you have it on the end of a, I was working with a wonderful mixer named David last year. Quite a bit. Day playing around, did a lot of commercials with him. David, he uses the Sennheiser MKH 8050 a whole lot. Very, very small diameter. I think it's a 19 millimeter diameter microphone, maybe 20. And he put the baseball on that because it's too small. It's slightly too small for the Leonard ball. The Leonard Leo 20 would not fit it properly, but the baseball did. Swinging it around, I would whoosh that microphone sometimes. And it also it looks really lopsided. So I don't honestly know the answer to your question about the BBG Wind Pro. I don't know what that is. Looks like a Zeppelin. I'm not familiar with it, but if you're gonna use the MKH50 with something, I personally cannot recommend the Sonella Leo 25 with the fur high enough. I love the Sonella products and the Sonella Leonard ball, which, by the way, if you do me a favor, Mr. Red, and link the video to the Sonella Leonard ball that I did, the new Leonard ball review. I love the Sonella Leonard ball. To me, it's lightweight. It feels great. It's made out of the same material as a Zeppelin, and it's just spot on. It's very, very transparent. If you're gonna be a geek about the sound, you're sacrificing a little bit of the highs, but then wind protection does that, doesn't it? You're going to be knocking off and curbing off those highs just a little bit as soon as you get into, the air frequencies and stuff like that. Sounds devices versus XCOM, maybe. Sound speeds versus XCOM, no. Sound devices is definitely their competitors with XCOM, especially in the world of wireless. Especially in the world of wireless with the A10. Now, sound devices and the recorders, like, the new Scorpio versus the Diva 24, they each have stuff how to they both have a lot to offer. I mean, it really depends on what you like and how you like it. The interface of the Diva is different than the interface from the Kantar X3, which is different than the Scorpio. And you just have to find a recorder you really like, and that's what it's about, is your workflow. David, take care. I know you're already gone. Let's see. What do you mean you almost had me against Zaxcom? I'm not against Zaxcom. Not at all. Zaxcom, I know Glenn. And Nick, you're not going to troll and try to start this Zaxcom versus Glenn Sanders stuff. That's not, or Glenn Sanders versus Alan Williams stuff. That's not going to happen. I know Glenn. I don't interact with him a whole lot because most of the people I work with use Electrosonics and use sound devices products, so I deal with them mostly. But Zaxcom makes great stuff, and I don't work with them a whole lot, but that doesn't mean I'm against them at all. No, Zaxcom makes great products. New Sonella Leonard's balls, the windscreens. Thank you so much, Mr. Red. On top of it, as always. Typo was SS versus Zaxcom. Yes. No, but I'm very much not against Zaxcom. Jeez, no. No, they have great sounding stuff. That's a ludicrous thing to say. Okay, so I'm now caught up. We are now at 2:07. My daughter should be done with her meeting very soon. I should almost get ready for her. If you have any other questions or anything right now, glad to answer them. One more thing I don't like about Dexcom is the learning curve with the interface could be more ergonomic if I could compare it to sound devices. You know what? It's just a learning curve thing. It's the same kind of thing as if you dealt with SoundForge back in the day, and then you worked into any other, and then you worked into Adobe, or you worked into like Cyberlink Audio Director. You deal with any of those, and then you step foot into Reaper. It's a different learning curve. It's different. It's like 20 years ago. If you were trying to learn nonlinear editing, and you dealt with something like a Video Toaster, Video Toaster 2 or 4000, then you suddenly stepped up to Premiere. It was a learning curve because it was different. Plus, it would blind you because it flickered like crazy on the screen back then. It was really awkward. But now it's a totally different scenario all the way around. I mean, a lot of devices and a lot of interfaces or software rather. What am I even trying to say here? They're a lot the same. They are very much they have a lot of the same functionality. The only software that I'm just not a fan of at all, interface wise, is DaVinci Resolve, and that's just me. One night I gave it a good hour trying to make that editing software work for me, because I understand it's powerful. I understand a lot of people like it. But after about 30 minutes of trying to make it do a simple thing, I rage quit, and then I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give it a good hour. And I looked up tutorials online. I was trying to make the thing work, and I could not get it to work for me. I got so furious with it that I was like at wit's end by the time it was done. And I could not quick enough uninstall, very forcefully delete every single file from the computer and say, I'm never touching that thing again. And I have no interest in going back. And I know you can make the keystrokes and stuff like that, emulate other interfaces, and that's fine. But Edius is different. Vegas is different. Cyberlink Power Director is different. Why in the world do they need to do that? There's also the other one, which is, what is it? Something Wave? It's what they edited Pulp Fiction on. It's another pro. It's the open source editing software. I didn't like that one either because the timeline's really weird on it. But that's just me personally. Don't let my opinions completely shape what you like. That's not anything you should let anyone, whether they're a pro or not, anyone on YouTube should not make their opinion yours. Don't fall into that downward spiral. I mean, it really is a downward spiral when you start taking everyone's opinion. So one of the reasons why I started doing sound speeds to begin with, because I had an issue with all these misinformation that people are putting online. They'll say, oh, this is great because they are endorsed to do so, or because they whatever. Now, I have done reviews for products that I really like, and I have blasted some products. I have also blasted products that in certain ways that I've liked a lot of products, and then I've said, well, I don't like this one particular aspect of this, or I don't like this one feature of this, and then I'll say I'd really recommend doing it differently, and I've done that before. Okay, so anyway, yes, I'm not at work. Would that work? Put towel on the road, PS1 behind the SM7B. Should be fine. PSA1. I can't recall which microphone that is offhand. I'm sorry. But SM7B shouldn't be an issue in a non-treated room unless you're yelling, unless you're overly loud. And then just putting down some soft stuff around, you should be fine. But a towel on your PSA1 behind it? A PSA1 is not a microphone, is it? On your road PSA1. I can't think of what a PSA1 is right now. 85 minutes, yes, we're an hour and a half into this stream. Here's also need to test my Rode NTG2. Need to find a windscreen stock, another table boom arm. Let's talk, Mr. Red. Let's talk if you need a new boom arm and windscreen. Let's talk about that, because I may be able to set you up. Try the new version. No, I have not tried. Or Blender. Blender? No, don't know what Blender is. The Rage Quit was hilarious. Yeah, podcast is. I think I was trying to do that in your Discord, no less. One Saturday night, I was like, oh, I'm going to learn this because people are loving this software. I'm going to learn it too. It's going to be great. And I got pretty annoyed by it. I'm glad it was amusing to you, Andrew. That was years ago and it was terrible. Better now. Now, this is only a few months ago that I did. Probably about a year ago, I think I tried the DaVinci Resolve thing. Oh, they're renaming all the time. Much better, in my opinion, industry. Buy Pocket 4K, and I'm going to try out DaVinci to work on those. Script here. PSA 1 is a boom arm. Oh! PSA 1 boom arm. Okay. I don't deal a whole lot with boom arms. I'm the boom. These are the boom arms that I deal with. Those are the ones I deal with. And I'll be honest with you. Okay? You could laugh at me all you want. I don't have the really nice blue boom arm or whatever else when I use on SoundSpeeds. You know what I use when I deal with my SoundSpeeds videos? I have two different types of things I use. I do not, with my Equitech E100, I put it in front of me and it is locked off and I don't ever touch it. Because it is completely locked off on a boom arm and I knew what I was going to be doing with it, I wasn't going to be adjusting on the fly or having to do anything. It's just right there where it always is. I bought the cheapest one I could find, which was on Amazon. I think it was $12 or something like that. And it had locks on it. It said locks in position. I said, great. I put it exactly where I wanted to with it, everything. And I cranked that monster down and it's just frozen there. It's been frozen there for like 2 years. Well, with the exception of when I've changed out the E100 to the AKG C4000B. When I did that and then I switched it back, I had to go in and adjust it. But personally, I don't really see a need to buy any other better boom arm because I never use it. And the other one I use is like I bought 4 of these. They're like 13 inches long. It's got a little twist down clamp on one side, and then on the other it goes out to a 1/4-20 screw thread for a camera. I'm actually using it right now for this. I'm using one of these right now for this assembly that's holding up my camera rig right now to my visor. And then I bought adapters. I bought very cheap adapters and I just screwed them into the thing to convert the 1/4-20 to 3/8-16. And so that way I could use it with any shock mount that I want to put on it, or or I'll adapt it straight over to 5/8-27, and then I'll just use it directly for whatever I want. But I mean, I basically like the small size of that T-Bone SC400 that after I did the review, I just left it on there. But occasionally you can see over on the side, it just is this little cheap arm that holds it out there. I don't move it. I don't hit it. I don't whatever. I just move it in place and lock it. So if I don't need to do anything with it, then why do I need to have something really, really fancy? I'm not moving it on the fly. I don't really care. Have I seen the Agent 327 video they made years ago? No, I haven't. I don't know what that is. Behind it. Thanks, Sound. Love your stuff. Your voice comes down 2 octaves and you look very relaxed, especially when you're so tired. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Ian, as always. Eldest bro, how often brake lavaliers? Look at this DPA 6060, but they look fragile. Oh no, they're not. You want to talk about a fragile microphone that's a low profile and a small one that's still very sworn by is the B6, the Countryman B6. That is, it's much more likely to have the cable yanked out or to get to route it someplace, and if it's in heat, have it get strained and have it short out. The DPA 6060 is solid. I mean, it's got ruggedized parts. It makes it a little bit bigger in places, but it's also, I mean, you can yank it. Look online and you'll probably find it. There is the DPA 4060 heavy duty, which has the same kind of boots and stuff like that on it that the 6060 does, except it's scaled down. But if you can look at, I think it's on the DPA YouTube channel, there is a video that is a drill. They take the end of a DPA microphone that is connected up to a recorder, they put it in a drill and they go zzz, like this, and they just like coil that thing up like crazy, kink it up like crazy. And then they have another one where they throw the lava inside of water and pour up a glass. Those DPAs are by no means fragile. If you get the heavy duty model, which is the, what is it, the 4066, something like that, or you get the 6060, but the 6060 is by no means fragile. I got one of the very first ones that was in America, 6060, that they sent me, which is the one I reviewed, and then we used it for 4 months on American Soul on #1, Don Cornelius. But no, it never once gave us an issue. The only thing that happened with it in 4 months is it discolored a little bit, and that was probably because of the cleaning. He cleaned it with an alcohol swab down it, so it changed it from a tan color to a kind of a lighter thing. Looked like it had that, what is it, vitiligo, whatever that, where it kind of makes skin splotches that kind of look lighter coloration skin splotches. It looked kind of like that. It still worked great, still like a champ, and I love the 6060. No, it's not fragile at all. You like the bloopers video that I made? Making videos is hard. Yeah, I have 2 different videos on that. The look of sound speeds, and then there's with outtakes, and then there's outtakes alone. And I say watch the look of sound speeds, because you'll see me try to record an episode, and you'll see how many times I blunder and just mess up. Those things are crazy. I'm so bad at recording. You have no idea. To make a polished video, it takes so long. You not knowing PSO1 tells me that you were all on professional grade stuff. No, I'm not all on professional grade stuff. I just don't bother knowing the numbers of things that I don't really use a whole lot of, or if it's really cheap, something like that, like this arm, whatever that thing is. It's all it needs to do is lock down in position. I don't care what it is. If it's a cheap thing and it's just holding a phone, what cheap thing can't hold a phone for, that's what, 6 ounces, something like that? Shouldn't be an issue. Have you ever tried this fancy mechanical arm that helps you lift up your arm? I've seen Ken Strain and some other guys online try those things. What is it? X-Suit or Suit X makes one. There's a few others. They're still not designed. There's a lot of the veteran sound boom operators that have been doing a lot of boom operating for 20 years or so. They have gone in and really dialed in on that. They're still kind of experimenting and dialing it and figuring out what needs to happen and when. I haven't gotten into that a whole lot. I still concentrate here on sound speeds. When there's a product that's ready, I'll probably investigate it. Thanks for the link to the 6060 review. Most rugged lavalier currently might be the Schoeps Twinplex. Not sure how it sounds. The DPA 6060 is much sweeter sounding lava. Oh yeah, it is. Love it. Look at sound speeds without text. Mr. Red, as always, you were on top of the links. Thank you so much. Now you see why Mr. Red is not only an experienced moderator for many different live streams that he has done for Daedalus 822 and probably others. You've been a moderator for quite a few of your friends as well that others stream. But I tell you, man, he is a stellar mod to have. He is on top of it. I got to go back and look at David's deleted comments because I don't know what it was. Okay, you have a wonderful day. Hungry lunch with your daughter. Really enjoy the stream, Alan. Take care. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I'll go ahead and call it there. It is now 14:21. I've been live streaming now for 1 hour and 40 minutes, and I'll be honest with you, I am a lot more alert now. Thank you so much for joining me and keeping me awake while I've been waiting for my daughter to get out of her meeting inside there. It's now 20 minutes overtime. I'm going to go in there and wait for her. Thank you so much for coming out here. And be watching. As soon as I hit 4,000 subscribers, I'm going to do something. It's going to be a kind of a new cool thing that I'm going to at least do a few of, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you very much for being here. Take care.